It just occurred to me, but I'm pretty sure Black Dawn is a reference to the movie Red Dawn.
I may, because honestly, this is one of the few titles that I just cannot for the life of me figure out.
I think that's what it is, because it's one of those, we talked about this last time. It's one of like the Call of Duty-esque.
Yes, it's a Call of Duty book.
Yeah, which makes me think that that's why the title is what it is, because for those of you, for the few of you that don't know, Red Dawn is, well, I mean, there was a remake of it, but we don't talk about that. But it's a movie where like the Soviets invade. I think it was made in like the 80s, and it's like a whole thing. So
it's got Swayze in it, yeah.
I think so, maybe. I'm not sure. I've never seen it. I just know what it is. So I think that's why it's called this, because it's one of the Call of Duty books.
Honestly, that's the first possibility to me that makes sense, because I've had years to come up with possible reasons for the name of this book. That's the only one that makes sense. So I think you're right. Thank you. This has been driving me crazy for years. I mean, not consistently, just whenever I've reread the series. But
so just to recap, like once last we met, we read Last Breath, and we met the new, Draug, whatever, the new kinds of vamps or whatever, that feed on vampires and humans, kind of. I mean, the introduction says they feed on vampires by preference and humans by necessity, and so now things are super bad, and it's forcing the vamps and the humans to work together. So that's where we are.
Yep. And the last book left off with a battle at the community pool where Oliver, Michael, and Naomi were rescued, and Emily got bitten by Magnus, which is the master drug.
Yeah.
And Claire died and got resurrected last book. Magnus killed her.
Yeah.
But then they fixed it. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah. So in this book, we have like a couple changes. First of all, we have a new narrator. So the previous narrator was pretty good. Like I liked her. I thought she was good.
She emoted well. I feel like she voiced, as well as she could invent voices, right? Because let's be honest, there's only so many fake voices you can do. But I feel like she applied her fake voices well to the characters' personalities and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree.
She did good.
Also, like, her vocal tone was really good for the book, like, because she didn't have like a super high voice, but she had a higher voice. Whereas, I mean, the new narrator, her voice is I feel like it's a little too deep.
There's so much. There is so much with the new narrator. I mean, I will say as well, like, because I noticed this when listening. Laura, I consciously noticed this when listening to one of the books earlier in the series for doing this, which was it was funny. Like Last Breath by Rachel Kane, narrated by Cynthia Holloway, and then she's all happy while saying her name. Whereas Angela Dorr, like, I just you know, as soon as you hear her say that title and her name and everything, it's just like, this is going to be so monotonous and so not fun. And the sad thing is, you kind of get used to it.
Yeah,
like in a couple books, you're going to have a hard time remembering the other voices, and I hate it.
Yeah, and like Vernon's voice is so.
That's the biggest disappointment, I think. But I mean, also like she changed the pronunciation of Amelie to Amelie, which is also something that I just find really irritating.
Yeah.
Really, really irritating.
Yeah, I don't like when narrators change pronunciation, when there are different pronunciations between narrators. That's one of my least favorite things. It's a pet peeve of mine. It's something that I strongly dislike between with the Mercy books and the Alpha and Omega series. It's one of my biggest problems with it, which sounds really nitpicky, but over like 16, 18 books, it's annoying as crap.
Yeah, I feel like Lorelai and Halter could have just had a chitty chat.
I feel like they could have just like DM'd over Instagram or some shit and worked that out. Like, I don't know. Like, #1 New York Times bestselling author. Y'all figure it out, y'all. Like, something. What the heck?
I mean, at least like there's like the two main ones that I can think of is Leia versus Leia and Marok versus, how does he say it?
Marok.
Okay, yep.
He says Marok and she says Marok. And the other thing is it sort of ruins the illusion for me, because then it shows that I think it shows that they don't like listen or whatever to or at least he doesn't listen to the other books in the series.
Yeah, because
ruins
it's just
me.
like, well, it's sad because I mean, like you kind of like it'd be kind of cool if like when he references stuff that happens in like a Mercy book, because like there's references to the other series in each one, like the one where there was some reference to when she had her entire body broken in Rivermont. And Brandon was like kind of just chuffed that she was ordering around the pack of werewolves.
Yeah.
In her broken state and stuff. It's just like, Halter has no idea what he's got no idea. He doesn't know what happened, and it makes me sad.
Yeah.
Do you think he knows that there's a Mercy series?
I don't know. It just.
I mean, if he didn't know, he'd at least assume, because otherwise, like, these references would just be too random.
It makes it a little sad, like a little bit. And
can you just imagine if he didn't know, right? And just like he's recording the last book, he's just like, can someone just tell me what is a Mercy and why do I keep talking about her?
Well, because like also the audiobooks have directors, by the way, and I don't know if anybody knows that, like audiobooks do have directors, and I would just expect that directors would do something about. I don't know. It feels like there's too much money behind this.
Pronunciation guide. It ain't that deep.
Like a chat, just a chat. I don't know. It upsets me.
I mean, like you just, because it's not like as well. Like he's put, like he records the entire book, sends it in, and then they're like, well, this is what we have. No, it's done in bits. It's done in pieces. If a sentence is said incorrectly, you say this sentence is bad. Redo the sentence, and you can redo just the sentence.
Yeah, as somebody who has had audiobooks produced, you can have them redo just a sentence. By the way.
Yeah, like it's fine. So like they know on chapter 1 that he was saying shit wrong.
Yeah, so like you get usually like a 15-minute like sample, you check things out. Then usually you get like a longer sample, you check things out. At least how it's worked for us. You get like a longer sample, you check things out, and then you go, okay, continue. And then usually it's kind of like you get most of it chapter by chapter, and you're listening and giving feedback chapter by chapter. That's how it's worked for us. I don't know how it works elsewhere.
I think
like
that's probably like the method that would make the most sense.
Yeah. Like, I think that might be how it works, so that it's already chapterized.
Yeah, and
each
then
chapter
also,
is its own individual track.
Yeah, because then also though, like, I mean, they may not. I mean, I don't know how much detail they're given. Like, I think it would probably also depend on the publisher and everything as to how much of a character profile, or maybe not a character. Character profile they would get. Because like they would need to know, what does this person's voice sound like? Because sometimes we don't find out things about a character until, like, 2 books later. And sometimes, right, like, if it's a nice old man that has no reason to be creepy and they've given him a creepy voice, like, you need to be able to fix that. So chapter by chapter.
Like, for example, I mean, at least because it's self-published and we as the authors have a lot, usually if it's self-published, you as the author have a lot more control over that kind of thing. Like, we give our narrators a lot of shit. Maybe too much stuff, but they tolerate it. We're like, here's all the more information you could ever possibly need. Like, just, and also, like, like spoilers sometimes too for that reason. Because
like, sometimes it just needs to be a little something to the voice, like just that little thing that makes you go, this person's sus, yeah. And they don't know if they're supposed to unless you tell them, or until they, like, read, like, 3 chapters later and realize, oh, that person's acting a bit sus, maybe their voice should be sus.
So another note about this book is this is where we really hop into other POVs, right?
Yes.
And something.
How did you feel about that?
Well, so she has an author's note, at least. Yeah, she has an author's note.
Yeah, she preps you for it.
But so she says, we'll continue to see the events this way in Black Dawn. So be sure to note who's narrating, because everyone has secrets, blah, blah, blah. But what makes it feel weird is that Claire is still in third person.
Yeah, I mean, but I know what you're gonna say, and this doesn't excuse it. But with Claire's third person, it's first person, third person.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's 2 different kinds of third person, and she's first person, third person.
Yeah.
We don't know what Claire knows. We only think what Claire thinks.
Well, yeah, she's third person limited, so it's like kind of like being first person. But everybody else is directly first person, which makes it kind of.
Usually, when they add other perspectives, either they keep the personhood, or it's started off in first and they make the others third. Now, I don't want to refer to House of Night, but House of Night does that.
Which,
like, Zoe's first and the rest are third.
Not to give House of Night credit, but it makes more sense that way in my opinion.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like saying it.
Like, because it's just weird. Like, because I think what she's saying in that author's note is, like, the reason why I'm doing it this way is because some people have secrets, and so you need to be in their head. But, like,
we're in Claire's head, even though we're not actually in Claire's head. Like, it's not my, like, I understand why she made Shane first person in Bike Club. I mean, I didn't necessarily, I still wasn't the biggest fan of it, but it made sense there. because he was being drugged and this and that, and it was like a weird. It was
I
more
think
like
she-
you know.
I think she
It
still
fit
could have
better
done third person
tonally.
limited. Like I'm that's just my opinion. I mean, although I'm not a New York Times, like I'm not a super prolific author, so what the fuck, I'm just saying shit.
Look,
like
well, as I said, it's not my preference, but I at least understand the stylistic choice in Bite Club given the context of his scenes.
I'm just saying, in this book and in that book, this is just it's not this decision I would have made.
Yeah, it's weird
personally.
It's weird to leave the protagonist in third and go to first for everyone except the protagonist.
Also, this late in the series, even this late in the series being Bite Club, it's very odd to have a perspective change like that. I
will say, we do have to criticize, because we criticize House of Night for just randomly jump into all the perspectives, and this book also did. And I can't remember if all of the future books are multi-perspective. I know there's at least one more, but that one, the one that I know for sure is multi-perspective, is I think exclusively Claire and Shane.
And so my other opinion on multi-perspective is I think that there is a much smoother way to do it. I think that sticking to third person, I think it's kind of more slowly expanding it to third person, multi-third person limited, or even starting with third person unlimited. Or did I say third person limited? Well, yeah, multi-third person limited or third person unlimited or whatever. Or even starting with third person omniscient, like however, or just like more slowly and smoothly adding that in, or however you want to do it. Like how, kind of like as a reference point for me, how we did it in Blackwoods was like in the first Blackwoods book, we head hop a little bit, and then we kind of expand it from there. But it's very sudden. And here we have like there's a million of them, a million people that we jump between.
Yeah, let me see if I can open up.
So there's Claire, there's Michael, there's Eve, there's Shane. So there's the four. Then there's Hannah, Oliver, and Naomi. Later.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like, I will say Naomi's one was just, I'm not mad that for her scenes to have been included. Like, it's fine. I get it. It makes sense. But being in her head, like, I feel like if Monica was a vampire and her name was Naomi, that's whose head we were in.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. It was a bit. I have a hard time liking this book, and I feel like it's because it's the first Angela Daw book.
Well,
I mean, I don't know how much of it is the story and how much of it is just the jarring narrator change, and I just spend the whole book being like, I miss Cynthia Holloway.
For me, it's the jarring narrator change. For me, it's also just the structure doesn't.
It doesn't become the series.
It doesn't work for me. The structure doesn't work for me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's because, like, Claire's head has been a fine head to be in. It has been. It's been a fine head.
And like the whole situation, the whole experience is very jarring. And because we're head hopping, I believe, every chapter, you never get the opportunity to feel settled.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you never, because you don't get several chapters just in the same. Well, you get so you get a few chapters. You get 2 chapters in a row that are Claire, and then that's it. So yeah, you never get a moment to be, because these chapters aren't very long. So you don't get a whole lot of time to just sit and
no, you don't do.
And just kind of
because I think Michael, I think we're only with Michael once.
Let me look. Yeah, we're only with Michael once. No, we're with Michael twice. We're with him twice.
Oh, are we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but because there's some characters that we're only with like so briefly. Are we with Eve more than once?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're with her several times. And
doesn't feel like it in hindsight.
And for most of this time, because we're head hopping, but we're also not with any of the characters that we're head hopping between. So like when we switch from like Claire to Eve, Claire and Eve aren't together. So we're also completely switching places.
Location.
Like, yeah, like we don't, you just don't get a minute to be settled. So I don't know, like it just,
it's a bit
like here Claire, Mernon, and Michael are together, and then we switch to Shane, and Shane right here in 7 is with, who are we with?
Yeah, so the thing is Claire, Michael, Claire, Eve, Claire, Shane, Michael, Claire, Eve, Claire, Hannah, Eve, Shane, Claire, Oliver, Naomi, Eve, Claire, Oliver, Claire, Shane. Epilogue. So it's a lot of hopping. We've got we've got chapters 3 and 4 are with Claire. That's the only double, 2 in a row.
And I don't know. And in this chapter, Eve is with Claire, Eve is here, and it's like, why? And Michael's here, so it's like, why?
Yeah,
I don't know. What are we doing?
Yeah, it's a bit of a time, isn't it?
Anyway, so why don't we hop into it? So we covered where we were.
So characters are core 4, Oliver, Emily. Naomi rocks up again. We haven't seen her. Oh, was she in the last book? I can't remember. We've seen her. We've met Naomi in a couple previous books. She's Emily's vampire sister. There's Mernon. We've got Miranda pops back up in this book. And I'm guessing you can assume by the ending, Miranda's going to be a bigger character throughout the series. We've got Magnus, who's the biggie baddie guy. Monica, Richard, Hannah. Honestly, the characters pop up in every book, more or less. Even if they're only in the first scene, they're popping up in every book. So, yeah. The main ensemble is present.
Yeah.
With plot, are we going to do just the general idea of the plot again? Because these books are just too hard to just go
point by point. Yeah, okay, so
because there's a whole lot of nothing.
So we open with Michael's in a bad state.
Yes,
Michael's having a bad time. So
which fair, because he's just not long been rescued from the drug. So with how the drug feed, they more or less encompass you and just like all the blood out through your pores, effectively. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And with vampires get submerged. Humans, not so much. They get submerged up till their heads, because otherwise they'll drown before they get. Vampires are this. We find out more about this later, but just in general, vampires are fully aware and conscious of what is happening to them while they are being eaten. So yeah, Michael's got a lot to nightmare about because he was being eaten not a few hours ago.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
So.
He also viciously ate Eve for a minute once he got freed.
And so yeah, so Eve is not here and she's grumpy. Like which fair. So that's the situation.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I mean, even if he's like your best friend ever, like the last thing I would want is like a PTSD nightmaring vampire near me.
Yeah, it's not. We're not in a good situation. That's kind of how. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
So
they get Michael awake, and it's Claire, Shane, Michael. Boys eventually bro talk, and that was the thing that I don't know where in this book it is said, but direct quote from Shane: "Me likey, Mikey," and I can't. Like they have such bro talk, and that's the other thing as well. Angela Draw doesn't do the bro voices. Like when they're when they're broing, she's just like you know, in if it was Cynthia, it would have been like, you know, like me likey Mikey. Whereas in this one, it was like me likey Mikey, and you just imagine like a kind of face with it. It was just like, it's just awkward. But like, yeah, direct quote, me likey Mikey, and I'm just like, this was so written in the noughties. Like, if I had a friend named Michael, I don't think I could ever me likey Mikey.
I can't. Stop. Just stop. This is not okay.
Sorry, but yeah, so the boys like kind of like bro out a little bit, and then they're like, "Where's Eve?" And Shane's like, "She's being a housewife. Okay, it's fine."
Like she's doing goth stuff, you know, like in a corner.
No, she's not. She's baking goods. She's making coffee, and she was wearing a 1950s housewife red polka dot dress.
Like, yeah, you know, goth stuff, grumpy goth stuff.
She even has the scarf around her neck, but it was. Yeah. I feel like she picked the whole outfit to match the scarf instead of the other way around. Because she has to, because Michael ate her pretty viciously. So, like, you know, shit's not good. They're also still engaged, but like, I guess their relationship status at the beginning of this book is it's complicated. They've officially changed it, which let's be honest as well. Like, can you think of anything more dramatic of putting a relationship status on Facebook as
say that? Like, why was that even? Hold on, I'm gonna check.
I think it's still a thing.
Is that still an option? Because like you remember when that was like a thing that people actually like
every time you and your boyfriend had a fight, you change your relationship status to it's complicated. I'm wondering what the intent was. Like, I wonder if it was like, like a note when you're starting to see someone and he's a kind of a thing, but he's not really a thing yet, and you aren't seeing anyone else, but you just haven't had the talk yet. I'm wondering if that's what it's meant for. Like, like, look, I'm kind of off the market, but I'm not.
It's
officially off the
complicated is
market.
still a thing. So, but they've added, because you could do, like, it used to be in a relationship, single in a relationship, engaged, married,
widowed,
in an open relationship, divorced. And it's complicated. But now you can do in a civil union, domestic partnership, separated, divorced, and widowed. Like, they added, but it's complicated.
Separate, divorced and widowed were already
okay.
there. I do know that.
But I'm just like, I have a question.
It's complicated, their relationship.
Why? And also, I have another question.
Also, who puts on their Facebook, I'm in an open relationship? I feel like that's just oversharing a bit much.
And it's like it's complicated. But I have another question. Like, now that I'm an adult and I'm looking back at this time in history, what does that mean?
I don't know, but that's right as well, because I've seen it. Like, I've actually seen someone having that relationship. I can't remember who, but how it comes up in your about section, right? How it comes up is, so just say you're in a relationship with someone,
mm-hmm.
And it's just in a relationship. It's in a relationship with blah.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that person linked, like, as your person, it just says in a relationship, and it's left at that. When you pick it's complicated, it goes, you're in a relationship with blah, and it's complicated.
It used to say it's complicated with blah.
No, it's just, you're in a relationship with blah, and it's complicated.
That's not what
you're in a relationship and it's complicated. Wait, I wonder what it looks like now. We'll see. I'm not changing mine, because I think Stixie would be like, what the fuck is going on if I just updated it?
I just,
because you get a notification.
What does it's complicated mean, though?
I don't know. It's complicated.
Does that just mean like we're fighting?
Facebook meaning, it's a common thing. This infamous sort of relationship is not easily understandable, yet it is infrequently practiced. Complicated status can be clearly defined as being with someone, but not being with them in an actual fully committed relationship. So I guess my guess was like accurate, but it's not used like that. How it's used is, we're having a fight and I want everyone to know about it. All is not rosy in my garden. That is what people use it for.
I don't I don't get it.
I mean, when Stixie and I are having issues, like, I don't talk about them with people because I want to know why. It's rude. It's rude.
I feel like it's less common now to use it.
Yeah.
Is that inaccurate? I feel like that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking at what your Facebook relationship status says about you. It's complicated. Really? Is it? The only thing complicated right now is figuring out why we're even friends on Facebook, let alone life in the first place. Who would ever mark this as their status? What happened? You and your girlfriend got in a fight, so you went to the bathroom and changed your status to as complicated? What, did you think your Facebook page is a news source that we're all following in real time and need to know these up-to-the-minute changes? Unless you have this complicated as a joke, this should never be your relationship status. If my girlfriend ever did that to me, I'd make it very simple for her. You're single. Like, fair. Fucking fair.
Pretty sure his relationship status on Facebook is that he's single.
Possibly.
Which is funny.
Boys suck at that. But also, I don't see him. I mean, is he chill out on Facebook like 24/7?
I'm not sure if we're friends on Facebook or not.
And how long have you two been together?
Over a year. We've known each other much longer than that.
Who do you live with?
Him, and we have a dog together. Like, you know, which honestly is more important than the Facebook status. I don't care. Really, I'm kind of okay with it not being on Facebook.
That's fine.
Honestly,
I mostly go on Facebook just to like scroll through the videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get the video? Did you get the thing I sent to the group chat before?
Oh, yes. And yes, I did know they were two different people.
Yeah, I didn't know there was two of them. Which I should have, because one of them's got a big scar, right?
Yeah.
But you don't pay attention. Like, if you're just scrolling through and you're not expecting there to be two of them, like, I forget about this. Like, I guess, like, in my mind, I just didn't register the lack of a scar.
One of them does skincare and one does
beauty.
Yeah, like makeup and stuff.
Yeah. But the two topics are so closely intertwined that you can assume it's the same person. And I know that one of them's a little bit more tubby than the other one. But I don't look at the dates of the videos, and I get videos from like years ago popping up on like when I scroll. So I just figured like, you know, he gained some weight, then he lost some weight. Or something. Like with what's their name again? Walsh?
Yeah.
The Welsh twins. I didn't know there were two. and then that video came up and I was like, there's two of them?
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I think they've done a couple collabs together.
That's the first one that has ever popped up.
Yeah.
On my thing. Because, I mean, I don't search it out. I'm just, like, scrolling through the Facebook video feed, you know. And I watch some true crime stuff. I occasionally, like, some makeup stuff pops up in there. Some React videos that I usually end up disliking just so I don't have to see them again. Because some of them, there's this one guy, I don't know what his name is, but he drives me crazy. He's blonde, and everything he does is just, like, so exaggerated, and I can't fucking even with him. And I'm like, I have to, like, and every, like, 2 months, like, I block his videos, and it's like he just keeps creating more channels. So then those ones start popping up. I swear I've blocked him on, like, 4 or 5 different channels at this point. But yeah, I didn't know that they were twins. I didn't know that there was two of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyway.
Yeah, back to book. So Eve's baking, and then things are weird between her and Michael.
Yeah.
And stuff has to get done. I like. What are we doing? How does it? What do they do after they talk to Eve? I've got no freaking idea. Oh, that's right. They got to go find Theo. Oliver's like, "You two, go find Theo," and they're like, "No," and he's like, and they're like, "Okay, fine, we'll go find Theo." So Claire, Shane, and Naomi go to find Theo, and Shane has a flamethrower, and things are awkward between Michael and Eve. And he's like, I bite raped you. And she's like, you didn't rape me. And he's like, I did. And she's like, ah. And he's like, and then she stabs him. And yeah, she stabs him with silver. And she's like, I could kill you if I wanted to, but I trust you. And then they leave, like, separately. And I'm like, this is the weirdest conversation. Like, I need to find the thing with trust, right? Because it's that whole thing after she stabs him is really weird. Okay. So he's trying to scare her, right? Because he's like, he needs her to understand that he's fucking dangerous because he almost killed her. And then, all of a sudden, something stabbed him, not in the heart, but off to the side. And the sensation of it was sliding cold and horrible and yet also burning. Silver. I looked down. There was a small silver knife buried in my right side to the hilt. The skin was starting to smolder and burn around it. Eve was breathing hard now, and there were tears rolling down her face, but she looked tough all the same, unyielding. I can stop you, she said. I can always stop you if I have to, Michael, damn you. I could have put that in your heart because you weren't ready for it, but because you'll always be vulnerable to me, even if you don't want to be. So we're even, because I'll always be that way to you too. That's called trust. It's called love. And I'm like, stabbing your fiance in the side to the hilt because he's making it clear to you he can kill you. It's not called trust. It is not called love. If you trust your partner wholeheartedly, you do not need to carry around a silver knife to stab him with. That's called trust. That's called trust.
Hey, what's up? We're talking about whether or not you should need to stab your partner. That's welcome to book club.
And whether or not showing them that you can kill them if you wanted to, is that a trusting thing to do? I was fine with it up until it's called trust. It's called love. I'm like, it's not. I'm like, this is the opposite of trust. If you trusted him,
faith, trust, and pixie dust.
Like, I dare you, Eve, I dare you to go and get a tattoo and have Michael hold your hand during it. That's called trust. When he's a vampire and you're bleeding everywhere, that's trust. Sorry, that was the only non-gross or like overly emo dramatic way I could think of for her to be spilling blood. Is getting a tattoo.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, so that she stabs him. He's like, ah, and then he goes and has a lie down and has a sleep to heal. And now we're with Claire. Oh, Mernon's made like a little sound box and it does like and cancels out the drug doing a sing because like sirens and they're like ah, and the vampires like must go to the noise. So then they do, and then they get eaten. So there's a noise canceling thing.
Real quick,
yes.
I know we shouldn't do tangents, but so we went to Montana recently for a thing, and
I hate you.
And I'm pretty sure because we
saw
were
a werewolf?
we were right near the Flathead National Forest because we went to Glacier. We were in Glacier National Park, and to get there, we had to drive through the Flathead National Forest, and we had to drive around Flathead Lake, and the Flathead Reservation is right near there. And I'm going to guess that that's where Aspen Creek, Montana is because I can't find anything that says that's not where it is. So I'm just going to say that I've been to Aspen Creek, Montana. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I don't care unless Patty tells me directly that I'm wrong. I'm not wrong.
Feel free to hit us up, Patty.
Anytime. Yeah, anytime. Tell me that I'm wrong. But because
we also have words to say.
Bran never says, like, I met your mother and then I moved.
Well, also, Charles's mother's tribe raised him whilst he was living with Bran.
Right.
Which implies that, like, they weren't even that far. Like, they were across the road.
Also, Mercy has to drive over the mountains to get to the thing. So I'm rolling with it.
Yes. It's somewhere around that, thereabouts.
I'm rolling with it.
I would say. Yeah. But did you see a werewolf?
No.
Did you see a really, really big dog that you thought, wow, that's a big dog?
We saw wolf tracks.
But did you see a really, really big dog? Did you see a really big dog and that made you go, wow, that's a really big dog?
No.
Oh.
But I did see wolf tracks.
Because if you did, then it could have been a werewolf.
I have photos of the wolf tracks though.
That's cool.
So there's that.
Did you hear them?
No, but we're pretty sure they were wolf tracks because there was like multiple individuals and they were too big to be puppy tracks. So, and they were in snow. We got to play with snow. We had a snowball fight.
Honestly, I just want to move to Montana, and 6 is like, no.
I want to move to Montana.
I mean, he gets it. Like if we were to move to the US, it would be Montana. He just doesn't want to move to the US. And I'm like, but why?
Yeah, why not? What's wrong with the US? Huh?
Well, I will say, like, I mean, I had 2 cesareans and didn't pay a cent. So that's nice. It's like multiple ultrasounds throughout pregnancies and all the stuff, and didn't pay a cent. Like, I will say it's nice. It's nice being pregnant and birthing here.
I mean,
if we were to move to the US and then I felt pregnant, I'd probably like move back here for the pregnancy.
I mean, while that's fair.
That said, though, as well, our population is also much smaller than yours. Our system was set up to do that. It's a complicated process, and it's a thing, and I don't feel like the two are necessarily comparable.
Yeah.
It's like communism. Communism works very well in my household. I don't think it works well on a large scale.
Yeah.
But my household is a communist household. Most families are. Most families are.
Given that we don't make children work.
Given that he doesn't make me work. He makes the money and I spend the money, it's fine.
So
I bought him relishes though, so we can't be upset. But book. So they're off looking for Theo. And we get some some exposition. That's the right word? Yeah, I'm blanking. It's exposition, right? Yes. Yes, we get some exposition as to like what's happened to everyone in the university, the humans in general, this and that. Like everyone's been gone. Like they're like yeet and everyone yeeted. They've got their cover stories, and now it's time to find Theo. So then, they steal a pickup truck so Shane can chill out in the back with his flamethrower. And then they find the house. They get to Theo, and there's a guy with him. I don't think we ever see this guy again. So that's one thing she does. She introduces characters that literally you may see them again. You may never see them again.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this guy is one. But he's deaf. So Theo's chilling out with this guy, and he's got like knitting needles in his ears to puncture his eardrums. Mm-hmm. And they're like, let's eat. So then they eat. And I think the drag come and do it. And let me eat you. And they're like, no. And she's like, and then they eat. And then it's time to eat Eve's cookies. That's how the next chapter starts. Claire's eating cookies.
Oh, give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay. So Theo goes to visit Emily because Emily has been bitten by Magnus. And Claire's like, I want to see it. And Oliver's like, no. And she's like, yes. And he's like, bitch slap. And he bitch slaps her. And I don't know if we work out in this chapter or not, but what we find out is Emily is turning into a master drag. And so Oliver's like, when I'm king of the castle, I'm going to backhand you even more, Claire. And Claire's like, how dare you? And he's like, bitch slap again. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Like, part of me, like, low-key was like, you when Oliver slapped her, because she's just like, I want to see her. And Oliver's like, she'd kill you. And she's like, I don't care. I want to see her. And Oliver's like, quiet, peasant. And I'm like, what? I mean, bit dramatic.
Yeah.
Bit dramatic. But Claire's being, like, I mean, he's not going to, like, throw her over his knee and give her a slap. But you kind of deserved it in that moment.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm fine with the bitch slap. Like, I'm not offended by it. And yeah, so Emily not doing good.
Yeah.
There's like, please don't slap a Claire again, pulls, and he's like, fuck off there, go do your job, and he's like, fine. And then Mernon laments the lack of O positive blood and is awkward, and then they have to go and shut down the water treatment plant because they're like, bet you the drug's there. So then it's time to go to the water treatment plant.
Yeah.
And Eve, while they were out, Eve went out to set up weapons caches around the town, which also, usually if you're going to make a whole chapter out of Eve going out, setting up weapons caches and bonding with some vamps that aren't Michael, you expect the vamps to pop back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you expect them to need the weapons.
Yeah.
Neither of which occur. But Eve goes, they set up a weapons cache, they rock up at their house. She ends up, maybe it was just so she could get Michael's guitar. I don't know, but I don't think we ever actually see him playing it. Oh, because they're at the town center. Council building thing. That's where they're camping out right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think we ever see him play it there. But she's like, look, I'm going to run in. I'm going to put these weapons down. And then she gets clothes for them because they're wearing other people's clothes. And gets Michael's guitar, comes back out. The vamps are gone. And she's like, ah! And then she finds them and kills some drug. And then they're like, you go, you're Team us, goth girl. And she's like, fuck you, I'm Team you. And they're like, we're best buds. And now it's next chapter. Like, it just occurred to me, like, now that, like, I'm going back through it, nothing from that chapter is relevant.
Comes back, yeah.
You could have cut that entire chapter out. And it would be fine.
Yep.
I'm fine with her having gone out and done it. I mean, I think it's still silly to mention it if it's not going to be important. But I'm fine with, like, her having done it. I just don't see why we had to be with her while she did it.
Yeah.
But, so Shane, Michael, Mernon, and Claire are on their way down to go and do a thing. And they bump into Eve, and Eve's all buddy-buddy with vamps, and Michael's, like, all jealous, and she's like, I'm coming with you guys. And they're like, okay. And Mernon's like, we're going to take Emily's armored truck. But now they need her keys. So then Mernon and Claire run up and to get the keys. And Emily's not doing well. She's turning very druggy. She tries to eat Mernon and Claire for a minute and gets stopped. Oliver's like, and then she's like, the keys are in my drawer. So then they go to the drawer and get the keys. Yeah. And I really love how dramatic, like, Mernon's like, run! And Claire's like, why are we running? And he's like, I don't know. It just seems like a good idea. So they're running. Like, it just feels really traumatic for no reason.
Yeah, it does. Like,
but then
the structure of the book is weird. Like, I don't know.
A whole lot of nothing happens in them, but so much happens in them.
And maybe I don't know if it's because we've read so many of them, or maybe I'm not imagining this. Does it feel like to you the books are just falling apart?
Honestly, I think she had no idea what she was doing by the time she got to the wait until we get to the next big arc.
Great.
Like, just all I can say is just wait. Because
like, I don't know, man. It just it feels like it feels like we're just on an acid trip, and a directionless acid trip is where it feels like we are.
Yeah. What's the next book?
The next book is, so we still have Bitter Blood, Fall of Night, and Daylighters.
Which one's Bitter Blood? I just need to know which one Bitter Blood is.
A television show comes to Morganville looking for ghosts.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm good now. I know exactly what's happening in the last 3 books now.
What is going on?
Honestly, the next one is like from memory. Like, the next book is perfectly fine. It's like one of the standalones, but also has like other stuff going on that relates to previous books in the background, but obviously the TV show thing is kind of like its own standalone. But then there's subplots, and it's fine, okay? It's fine. It ends up actually you'll find out when you read it. But yeah, so they go to the water treatment plant, and their job is to turn off all the taps. They use these big wheel, like, turny things to stop the water do a flow, because they don't want drag to be able to catch, the plumbing subway through Morganville, because rude. And so they managed to turn them all off except one that they could only like half turn off. And then it's time to yeet. And then Claire and Shane are doing a run, and like Shane gets engulfed and is like, Claire, run! And she's like, okay. And she runs, and the whole way I could see this being me, like, she's running, right? And she doesn't stop running, but she's just like, why am I running? I left him. I need to go back, but she's still running away. And they get to the car. Eve, Michael, and Mernon are there already because they've done their jobs. And they're like, where's Shane? And Mernon's like, he's dead. Let's go. And Michael's like, fuck no. And he's like, do you want them to strip Claire and Eve down to the bones? And he's like, well, no. And he's like, well, drive. So then they drive. And then we go to Shane. And he breaks himself free, and he fights, and he gets himself to the roof. And he sees Michael, and because they've come back. And he sees Michael, and he's like, I'm stuck, bro. And he's like, I'll catch you, bro. And he's like, you better not make this gay, bro. And he's like, I won't, bro, I promise. And then he jumps, and Michael catches him, and they're like, like shoulder bump or whatever. And they're like, yeah, manly man. And then they escape. How did you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about where this whole bit's going?
I Yeah, you know.
I kind of like how he just like movie montages that he was just like, and then all of a sudden it was just a blur of happy pictures, and then I was like, it was like 10 years later, and Claire's knocked up, and it's a thing.
I felt like an acid trip. Like, I don't know what's going on.
I'm fine with this bit being an acid trip though, because it kind of makes sense for it. So, yeah, Shane gets back and he's like, I know, they're at the pool. And in his head, he's like, you idiot, the pool's been like closed up for years. And he's like, no, they're at the pool. So then they go to the pool and they defeat the Draug, and Merlin dies in it. And then the vampires leave town, and Eve and Michael are like, Shane and Claire, we gift you our house, bye. And then Shane is mayor, and Claire and Shane are married, and she's pregnant, and they have a daughter. And then he sees his dad and has a chitty chat, and he's like, something is fucked up. And turns out he's being eaten alive and dreaming. Because the Draug make you dream. And then we go back to Claire.
Honestly, I miss the days when like it was just Shane's dad being evil and
I miss Bishop.
Yeah.
Bishop was a fun antagonist. Like, he had a little bit of sass to him.
Where are we? Like, I don't know.
Morganville. That's where we are.
Honestly, like, you know, because I had only read up to like a certain point, and I
you had gotten to Kiss of Death.
Yeah, like the point where I stopped reading, Merlin was still the weirdest thing about the series.
Just wait. Just you wait. I feel like the weirdest thing is in the last book, right? But you may or may not get an idea of what that weird thing is in the second last book.
Great. Okay, cool.
Awesome. But oh yeah, because like when they're driving away, Claire's freaking the fuck out, like trying to like fight her way out of the armored vehicle, and then like just like pressure points her neck and like she knocks her out. So then she wakes up and she's like, "Where's my Shane?" And Eve's like, "He's dead." And she's like, "He's not fucking dead." And they're like, And then Madden's like, "Well, actually, he might not actually be. He's just like likely dead." And then Michael's like, "How dare you? We're going back." And so they do. But on the way, they run into Hannah and Richard and Monica. And Monica's like, "I don't want Shane. Look, I may not like him, but I don't want him to die, so I'm coming too." So then that they all join too. I don't think Claire's furious with Merlin. She's like, "How dare you?" At this point, it's only been like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, they go back. And the plan is for Michael to just run. He's just going to run through and be like, "Look, I'm a tasty treat. Come and eat me." While the rest look for Shane. So they do. And
why are they saving Shane? Have you noticed that?
Because Shane's the one that's like, "Oh yeah, that's fine. I'll sacrifice myself to save everyone," or because it seems like a good idea at the time, or just because I don't like Jason and I decide to try and beat the shit out of him. He is Zelda.
I feel like Shane's always
I feel like Claire is supposed to be Zelda, but Shane is Zelda.
Yeah, like Shane's always the damsel in distress.
Yeah, Claire is on a never-ending quest to save her boyfriend. Have you seen Drawn Together?
Huh?
Have you watched Drawn Together at all?
No.
So it's an adult cartoon. And I think there's like 8, and it's like kind of set up like Real Life or Big Brother or something like that, you know. So they're all in the house. It's all being filmed. They have like little side interviews and stuff. and each of the characters is like the most perverted stereotype of something. So we've got the superhero guy, like he looks a lot like Superman, except he's like outfit's like, you know, pale blue. I can't remember his name. But he's got like X-ray vision and all that, but he's a necrophiliac.
Okay.
There's a Disney princess, and she's incredibly racist.
Okay.
There's Ling Ling, who is a Pokemon, but he's not a Pokemon, but he's meant to be. Like, he looks like a lot like Pikachu, and he's just like. Then there's Spam, who is internet spam, and he's like just a really horny pig. And then there's Xander, who is looks a lot like Link.
Okay.
He's very, very gay. He's very, very gay. But the first few episodes before he gets outed as being gay, his whole thing is like, I'm on a never-ending quest to save my girlfriend. But it's a good show. You should watch it. I love it. Okay. Do you remember the thing I sent you where I had like strawberry shortcake, and she's like, you can't spell slaughter without laughter.
Yes, I do.
I sent you?
Yeah.
That's from Drawn Together.
Okay.
It's one of the most politically incorrect shows I've ever seen, and there are some parts that are just really, really uncomfortable. But it's funny.
I totally forgot about Strawberry Shortcake. Holy shit.
Strawberry Shortcake is one of the kids shows that they've redone.
Like, my God.
So there's like new Strawberry Shortcake now.
Do you remember Strawberry Shortcake?
I do.
What the hell? Sorry. Just a moment, please. I'm just looking at old. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Also, I don't like what they did to Polly Pocket, because like Polly Pocket used to be fun. Like it was like this tiny little thing that had like just one little bend in it, right? And now
they have
Polly
also
Pocket toys are like this big.
Or how big?
Look at Polly Pocket. Just Google Polly Pocket toy, and we'll see. Yeah, she's like a little actual person now. I mean, at least like her things still come in like the shells, but that's not like Polly Pocket that, you know, you're meant to have. Like she was this tiny little thing that was just like this little thing that had like one little bend in her waist, and that was it. Whereas now, like, she actually has limbs and stuff. And I don't approve.
So weird. It's kind of interesting that like they don't make new toys. They just update old ones.
Reboot old ones.
A Littlest Pet Shop still exists. That's so weird.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's.
Sorry.
I will say, I really don't like it, and I'm never gonna forgive. I think who does Care Bears? Is it Hasbro?
Care Bears? Are
Yeah,
they still doing Care Bears?
Yeah, that's been redone. But I remember, like, when I was in high school, they redesigned Share Bear. They changed her symbol. Share Bear used to be like a milkshake with 2 straws, and now it's 2 lollipops crossed over.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the funniest things that, like, because I loved Care Bears, right? One of the funniest things that when the OC was on, Marissa, she's like that. Her room gets unpacked, and she finds her Share Bear on her bed, and she's so excited and is acting like Share Bear. Like, and her whole thing is like, I haven't seen you since I was 5, but she had like the lollipops instead of the milkshake.
Mm-hmm.
That design had only been around for a couple of years at that point. But you know, new Care Bears just looks weird. I can't deal with it. I miss old Care Bears. But maybe I haven't given it a chance because My Little Pony Friendship and Magic I wasn't okay with. And then I eventually watched it and I love it.
I'm sorry, this is weird. Anyway. So
yes, sorry.
Okay.
They go. Michael's doing his yeety thing through the thing. Magnus rocks up and he's like, "Claire, I see you in her," and he'd be like, "Ah, run!" So then they run because like they don't want Magnus to like kill Claire again. Hannah, Monica, and Richard find Shane and rescue him, and Shane's like, "Is this real?" And then he looks at Richard and Monica and he's like, well, if I like, why would I dream that these fuckers would rescue me? So he believes it's real enough to like eat with them. And Michael's running and he sees like a pool that is drug free. So he scoops some water up in a vial, and because he has a vial. What did you think about his little vial
of like the water thing?
Like, well, that it was originally like Eve's in case of emergency. Here's my blood vial.
Like, oh, I mean, like she doesn't have it anymore. So like, I don't know. Like, what's the point? I mean, well, I guess what the point is that now he has it for that. But
yeah,
like I get why she would have that, but you know.
No, she gave it to him, so he was wearing a vial of her blood around his neck.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it is very goth.
But also, like, would it go stale?
I don't know, but it depends on how recently she'd given it to him as well. Like, I mean, it's obviously been at least a day since she gave it to him because she didn't give it to him since they got back.
Right. So, like, can you just
like does he like have it? Does he drink it every couple of days and then like
do you have to?
It?
Yeah. Like, do you have to? Like, how often do you have to?
How long does I'm gonna get a? Is it from the police? Blood stay fresh in a sealed bottle. It looks like about 3 weeks.
Like unrefrigerated?
Oh wait. Blood banks consider 6 weeks to be the shelf life of blood, but that would be refrigerated. Unrefrigerated. Storing unrefrigerated blood.
I feel like the internet is like, why would you even do that?
How long can blood be stored? Here we go. Okay, depending on the blood's future use, longer storage without refrigerated or frozen temperatures can jeopardize its viability. For example, if stored blood is used in a transfusion, the blood never regains the flexibility that it lost after the 3 weeks mark unrefrigerated in storage. So it's 3 weeks unrefrigerated.
Okay, so
as long as it's stored, I'm guessing airtight.
So they would have to have like a because like, a vial with just like a cork in it is not necessarily going to be airtight. Like
maybe she got like one that is though.
Yeah, like you would need a very special, like we'll give the benefit of the doubt, like you'd need a very special airtight vial, like.
And you want it to be like a sturdy, like corking, because he's wearing it around his neck and he's fighting. I will give her the benefit of the doubt. So every 3 weeks, she's replacing that blood in his vial for him. I guess. But that's just like the flexibility, though, that makes it less able to fit into the body's smallest
capillaries.
Yes, capillaries. There we go. So perhaps it would be fine. It just couldn't be used for a transfusion.
Can vamps drink stale blood?
Can
jet fuel not still be used? Who knows?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Can vampires drink their own blood? Autovampirism is a form of vampirism that refers to drinking one's own blood. Oh, that's a sexual gratification thing. No, okay, no.
Can vampires drink?
Thank you. Sorry, I got distracted by like a suggested search.
No, not. Is it safe to drink blood? All right, you know what? Nobody knows. This is not a question people ask. Like,
they're gonna rock up with like psychiatrists on our doors.
I know.
We're just gonna have to be like, I swear we're talking about a vampire.
I'm an author. Also, we're reading a vampire book. I'm okay. Okay, don't arrest me. Cool. So there we go. I Googled that.
Did you get any hits?
No, just like, but I sometimes I'll type shit like that into Google, like I'm an author, don't arrest me, and then I'll Google whatever fucked up thing I need to Google. Like,
I swear. Sorry, and now I've just seen pop up this conversation. Doctor, how often do you exercise? Me, 3 times. Doctor, a week, a month. Me, I've given my answer. That was all. Okay. So yeah, he has a bloodshot, and then he uses the vial to scoop the water, and then he eats, and then they rescue Shane, and they all leave. Like everyone gets out, and it's all fine, and they leave, and they go back, and Shane's not okay. He's not okay, and he keeps like saying to Claire, like, "Are you real? Is this real?" And she's like, "What the fuck is happening to my boyfriend?" And they're like, "You was dreaming, dumbass." And she's like, "Oh yeah, but Shane, tell me what's going on." And he's like, "No," and then he falls asleep, and she's like, "I want to know what's going on," but no one will tell her. And by no one, I mean Shane. And she doesn't handle it well. And you know what, though? I will say, pretty realistic for a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I know, like, we're supposed to forget that Claire's 17 half the time because she's in college and it's a thing. But then we're also constantly reminded. And she actually acts like a 17-year-old. I mean, I'm well older than 17, and I feel like if 60 had been kidnapped and was being eaten alive by something that's going to make him dream weird shit, and he keeps asking me, is this real life or is this just a fantasy?
And he was caught in a landslide. No escape. Yes. You would probably say something like, "Open your eyes.
Just talk to me."
look to the sky and see that I'm just a poor boy. I need no sympathy because it's easy come. Anyway, moving on. It's a little high and a little low.
We're going to get caught if you don't stop.
Anyway.
You're going to get caught in the trap and we're going to be... It's going to take us 10 minutes to do the whole freaking song, babe.
I'm sorry.
I can't done.
Anyway,
stop it.
It's hard. Stop. It's hard.
I know. You good?
I'm fine.
You're not gonna start humming again?
I'm an adult.
I swear. What do they do? What happens next?
What happens after Claire's like,
why don't you love me, Shady? He's like, I love you so much, Claire, but I just don't know if you're real. What are they doing? Okay, no, Michael's running. I'm going through. She needed a transfusion. Okay, so Theo's like, we got to give him some blood because, you know, he was getting his blood drunkest. And they're like, it's a miracle. He survived. And Claire's like, yes, he did. He's my man, and she's extra mad at Merton because he was alive. Honestly, I think that was a no-win situation for Merton because like Merton's just like, you got him back, it's fine. She's like, yeah, no thanks to you, motherfucker. Whereas like if Shane had died, like even if he died instantly, it still would have been like, maybe he wasn't dead, and maybe the only reason he's dead is because she made her sleep. So like, Merton wasn't being mean when he lied to them and said that there's no way Shane's alive, we need to leave. He wasn't being mean. He just didn't want Claire to die.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Shane is getting like all of the blood put in him, and then he's still just like, please tell me you're really here. And then the next day they sleep, I guess, and then he's awake and he's quiet and scared and wary, but fine. And Claire's weirded out, and then what happens? Oh, they have a chitty chat about Magnus, and they're like, why is Magnus so weirded out by you? And she's like, I don't fucking know why Magnus is weirded out by me. And they're like, you can tell which one's Magnus because all of the drag look like Magnus. And no one else can tell which one's Magnus and which one's just one of his things.
I mean, at this point, I assumed it had something to do with the fact that she deaded and then...
No, yeah, but then because they also go into it and say as well that she was the only, like they remind us that she was the only one that could see him in the last book.
That's true too.
He killed her.
Right. That's why he did it in the first place.
I'm not gonna lie, I had no freaking idea why. I'm like, what makes you so special, Claire?
Yeah, like at first, that's like my initial thought was like, oh, that's why, because it's been a while since we did the last book, so actually I forgot that she could do it before that. Yeah, so I didn't. You're right. I didn't know. I didn't know why. That was my initial assumption, though.
Yeah. But we find out though that their thing to block off the thing, and then their mission to rescue Shane, they killed enough of the drug to stop their singing, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're hurt. And then there's more conversations with Shane about what is real and what is not. Like nothing serious. He's just like, is this real? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, you sure it's real? And he's like, yeah. And then him and Michael have some bros, and then what are we doing? Sorry, I'm just looking. Like, where are we and what are we doing? Oh yeah, Michael's like, hey, I found some stuff. The drag don't like the water, and they're like, why? And so like Claire's like, I guess I'll work with you, Myrna, because I fucking have to. So then they do, and they work out that there's like a binding agent in the water, and they're like, excellent, but this kind of binding agent is impractical. We need to work something else out. And Shane's like, I can be the hero. I know the answer. And they're like, how do you know the answer? And he's like, because I dreamt I would. I always wanted to be the hero.
And my brain immediately went like, it's love. Like, the answer is love. Because that's always, like, I'm sorry. In some books, it just has a vibe where, I'm sorry to do this to you, but like in Harry Potter, it's JK's like, all the evil people, they don't know what love is. Like they're mad at it. They're all incels. And like so I was like, is Shane gonna be like, we just have to love each other very, very much, and then Care Bear stare our way out of this?
I still haven't forgiven. I just remembered this, and I've just remembered also that I still haven't forgiven the cast that they Care Bear stared in the Dysisters.
Yeah, they did. And also like House of Night, love, always love.
Oh, and fuck off. I never want to hear that sentence ever again, babe.
And so there's a lot of some books they just do the Care Bear stare. Like we love really, really hard Care Bear stare.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And you and Noah eventually get married, whenever that may be. Are you gonna sneak love, always love, into your vows? Are you going to troll him during the vows? Because he won't get it.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Or do you just want that read at your funeral? What? We'll put it on your headstone.
Yeah, because I don't. You know what? That's not the time or the place. Maybe if there's a speech at the reception.
We'll get Addie to put it in a speech.
In her speech yes. At the reception.
I wish you two nothing but love.
Always love. Yeah, in her speech at the reception, that's required.
And then the police will have to be called because there will be a homicide committed by the bride.
Yes, but like,
Because can you think of anything more insulting for someone to wish you on your wedding day? Like, not the words or the general sentiment.
I mean, you'll be there. Like, you will be there too. That's one of my requirements. But so either one of you can do it.
Yeah, but I just don't want. I just don't want you to be mad at me on your wedding day.
So we're throwing Addie under the bus.
Yes. She won't be watching this. It's fine.
She's the chosen one. Honestly, you two can rock, paper, scissors for it.
Although it might be fun. It might be fun because you can't retaliate. You actually couldn't retaliate if I wish you love, always love. And if you got mad, everyone would be like, why are you mad about that? You're insane. And it would be gaslighting you on your wedding day.
I mean, because honestly, Addie, instead of giving like her real speech, might just pull something from House of Night and just read it out of context.
Honestly,
Because that's what
Could
she's
probably
gonna do
make up a
eulogy. She's literally just gonna take Jack's eulogy and just begin with Jack was a special boy.
For real though, you could write, no, not you, a person, in general, you could write the cringiest, yet still oddly appropriate wedding speech filled with nothing but House of Night quotes.
I would like so here's my request. I would like
you want a House of Night speech?
I would like you two to collaborate.
And write a House of Night speech.
And I would also like you to rock, paper, scissors over who has to read it.
Maybe we would share. And then it would end with the two of us saying together, love, always love.
However, I honestly let it be a surprise. I don't want to know. That's between the two of you. I don't need to know. It's none of my business.
Okay, I'll be back.
Oh no.
Okay, I'm crying. Can you hold down the fort?
Yeah. What chapter were you on? What chapter were you just on?
We are going into chapter 12.
Thank you. All right. So, okay. So, yeah, where we just were, was the binding agent, and we need something else, and then, so then, so then they're like, Magnus can't just, he needs more vampires. He can't just have humans, so they can't reproduce right now. So Oliver's grumpy with Myrnin, because Amelie is dying. And then Oliver's like, we can't just have a vacuum of power in Morganville, which is like another problem. But then he's like, I'm going to be a strong pharaoh leader, like half as much leader as her or whatever. So, and then, then Shane walks in, and he's like, what's the drama with like Oliver and stuff? And, we're like, oh, Oliver's mad that Emily's dying and shit like that. So, and then Claire's like, we need chemicals from the university lab. And, because they still need binding agents. And then into chapter 12, we're back to Eve, who, when she's like, Jason's out of prison. We get a recap on who the Jason is.
Do we want to try and do like a speed?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so she's like, Jason, why do you have bite marks on your thing? And he's like, well, because I'm being eaten on and someone's going to make me a vampy vamp. And she's like, hey, tell me. And he's like, Naomi. And she's like, and then she finds Naomi. And she's like, you stupid bitch. And Naomi's like, quiet you. And then she's like, you will help me find out what I need to know so I can be queen. Why did they want Claire? And she's like, well, I guess you guys stop fighting my brother though. And she's like, okay. So Eve agrees to help Naomi find out why Magnus wants to kill Claire. And Naomi will not eat a Jason anymore.
Yeah.
And then
the next chapter is Claire again.
School.
And then we go to the school to find the
yeah. And Shane's like, hey, look, see that garden shed back there? Go there. And they're like, okay, garden shed. So then they run to the garden shed. And they're like, what are we doing here? And he's like, well, look, remember the time I blew up a toilet and had to clean shit up? And Mike was like, yes, I remember the time you blew up a toilet and had to clean shit up. Not literal shit. I mean, like water shit, not like shit. Yes. And he's like, well, you know, you sprinkled this shit on it and it turns it into jelly. And he demonstrates and like, ah! And they're like, excellent. But the drug's like, no, we're not going to let you take this shit back. And no. So then they're stuck in there. And then they attack the drug with the stuff. And the drug like, ah! And then they like retreat. But they're still stuck. And then like, we need to turn the sprinkler off. So Claire's like, okay. So she like gets into a jumpsuit thing and she's like, I'm good, I'm gonna go. So then she's like wearing a plastic jumpsuit and she runs out and turns the sprinkler off. But then, you know, I think the drug trying to attack her, but she gets free. It's fine. Hannah and Richard rock up because like they've come to help them. And they're like, it's time to go. So then they go. But then drug like attacking them like but like rain. They're like rain and like kamikazing them effectively, and they're like, no drug, no. And so they go, and then they run into Captain Obvious, and he's like, help me. And they're like, okay. But then Richard gets absorbed into a drug, and Hannah's like, fuck, he's gonna die. What do I do? And Claire's like, throw the powder. So she throws the powder, and Hannah's like, I don't know what this powder is, because she wasn't there when they learned what powder was. But she throws the powder. Richard's getting covered in jelly, but then Captain Obvious is like, no, motherfucker, and like shotguns Richard, then like the drug, and Richard dies. Were you expecting Richard to die in that scene?
No, I was not.
I know, right? Because like you don't expect the death to occur, but the death occurs, and Richard is gone. And like it sucked as well because like I think the most like shocking thing with Richard's death was he was saved like literally seconds before he was killed.
Yeah, like this, you know, Sam and Richard were both like really shocking deaths, honestly, because they were two really good characters.
I know. I think the difference though, right, was Sam's death meant something. Like he died to serve the goal. Like, whereas Richard, even if he had just been killed by the drug then and there, it still would have felt like, okay, it would have sucked, but fair. But his death, in terms of, I'm not talking in terms of the plot or anything like that. I'm just talking in terms of if we lived in this world and we found out about this death, it would just be the most pointless fucking death ever. Because he wasn't killed by the drug. He had been saved. The drug was turning into jelly. You know.
Which is not, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing narratively.
Oh no, it's probably the most to err is human death in a book.
Yeah. Which is not like a bad thing.
Yeah.
But it was because like Richard went from being like a pseudo antagonist, kind of like which side is he on, to like a friend.
Kind of cool.
To like kind of like a core character, and then like we kill him and it's like, wait a minute, what? Why would you do that?
And again, his death literally serves zero purpose to the goal or anything like that. Like you never get a character that has the kind of status that his character reached within the series. And right, like, for it to be and again, I'm not talking about like how this would affect anything afterwards. I'm just talking about the death itself from the character's perspective. His death was completely pointless.
Yeah.
Like there was no reason for him to die.
Like, for example, like in the Mercy books, you don't worry about Adam, Daryl, Arielle, Z, Tad, Jess. Like, you're never worried about those people.
Yeah, they're not going to die.
Yeah. You know, like maybe
she's
the
gonna
new.
she's gonna kill one of the next book.
Well, right. But like, you know, like Paul died, but like, who cares? You know, like you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
She tries to make you give a shit, but you're like, he's been a dick the whole time. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, but he died saving Mercy and redeemed himself, and then his ghost redeemed himself even further. Whereas like Richard, he was attacked, he got rescued, and then someone didn't realize he'd been rescued and shot him.
Yeah.
It's I guess in that sense, it's probably the most tragic. Oh, maybe not the most tragic death I've read in a book, but it's one of the most tragic deaths I've read in a book because it's one of the most pointless deaths.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, and I kind of like, not that I like it, but I think narratively it's very interesting when in books like this a character dies in a very human way. Like, if there's like a really bad car wreck and just like a main character dies from a car wreck in an urban fantasy book, you're like, huh? What?
That doesn't happen.
You're like, if they're supposed to be safe from car wrecks, you know? And I think narratively it's interesting. So I don't mind it. It's just, I wish Richard didn't die. That's all.
Yeah.
I guess,
like, she tricks you, right?
Thing.
And she tricks you. She makes you think you're safe. And then he's dead.
Yeah. I do wonder why Richard though, like, because also this isn't really a series where people die.
Oh, it's probably just to change shit up. I don't know.
I guess I don't know. So anyway,
it does lead to a rather amusing subplot, though. I think in the next book.
Okay. So now we're with Hannah. Bless you.
Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, we're with Hannah when he did it.
Yeah.
And Hannah's not okay because they were dating, but they were kind of like, he was like in love with her and she was like, I wish I could love him kind of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're not okay. Like, and Magnus is just standing there chilling like a villain, watching it, and everyone's like, I can't see him, and Claire's like, he's right fucking there. But then, yeah, they go back to Founders Square and back to the thing, and sorry, then we're back with Eve.
Yeah, we're back with Eve. She's in the vampire library.
And she finds the reason, effectively.
Yes. Yeah.
So Claire's slave bracelet that Emily gave her had some drag blood in it, and apparently turns out like she just like retrofits like things from previous books to fit the current blood. So
which honestly is one of the smarter things you can do as an author, like use what you've already got.
Yeah. But there's like another continuity issue here. Like apparently, like, you know, these bracelets are good for one person and one person only, whereas previously it was Sam's old bracelet that Claire had.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it had a drop of drug blood in it, and effectively the people that Emily gave it to was meant to be like her early warning system of the drug, but then I guess, yeah, she forgot to pass that knowledge on to Claire, like, you know, if you start seeing the shady dude that no one else can see, let me know. Because I guess she thought that they were safe at that point, because it had been, what, like 150 years at this point?
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, they had that's why Claire could see Magnus and everything, because she'd more or less been inoculated to it. And then
we go to Shane.
No, and then Naomi's like, "Oh, come with me." And then she demands to go see Emily. She tries to like, she has a similar sort of thing as to what Gloriana had, where she could convince people to do what she wants. And she does it to Theo, and Theo's like, yes, come with me to see Emily. And then they walk in, and he's like, you dumb, like, your wily charms don't work on me. And she's like, how dare you? And then she stabs Theo in the back. And then she goes to kill Emily because she thinks that she doesn't want Emily to turn into a drug, but then also like she just wants the damn crown already, and she can't get her crown until Emily's dead. And then it appears that what her plan is to kill Eve and have Eve framed for stabbing the Theo in the back because he didn't see it happen, and for attacking and killing Emily. But who? Oh, Eve gets the knife or the stake or whatever out of Theo, and yeah, like he prevents it, and he's like, Eve, just run, and she's like, okay, and she runs, and now we're with Shane.
Yeah. And so Shane's like, I need to go tell Monica about her brother, and then he's like, it's karma because my sister died. So then he tells her.
He's like kind of excited, but then as soon as it's time to tell her, he's just like, this is awful. Why did I decide to do this?
Yeah. And then she's like, is it my mom? And he's like, no, it's not your mom. I'm sorry, it's Richard. And then she's like, he's hurt? And then he's like, no, he's not going to be okay. And then she's like, what do you know? And he's like, it takes him a while to get him out, and then he's like, yeah, he's dead. And then they have
she's like, this isn't funny, I swear I didn't kill your sister, I'm sorry, I didn't know that she was in the house when I was flicking the lighter, I'm sorry, this isn't funny, Shane, fuck you. And he's like, I wish it was a joke.
Yeah. Like he gets instant karma for being excited about telling her that her brother's dead, which honestly good.
Yeah. But then as he was leaving though, because like on his way there as well, he's like, yeah, you get to tell, like, yeah, just like you've always dreamed, you get to break her heart. And so that was making him question reality. But then as he was leaving, he was thinking, well, that really, really, really fucking sucked. There was no joy in that whatsoever, no sense of satisfaction. And I guess that's a good thing. Because if I was still in dreamland, I would be happy.
Yeah.
It kind of helped him feel centered in reality a little bit more.
Yeah. Then we're back to Claire. And she's like, oh my God, Richard's dead. And then she's like, yeah.
She's like, tell me what happened. And he's like, no. And she's like, yes. And he's like, I dreamt stuff. And she's like, was it about bad stuff? And he was like, no, it was good. We were married and there was a baby. And what was her name, Claire? Because he didn't know his daughter's name. And she's like, Shane, what's going on? He's like, just tell me, what would her name be, please? And yeah, she like works out what the hell's going on. And apparently Claire's dream name for a daughter is Carrie. And I did not see that coming.
I didn't see that. It's too close to Claire.
But also Carrie Alyssa doesn't set, like it doesn't flow. The E and the up.
Yeah.
Like it's not a flowy name.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if a name ends in an IE or a Y, then the next name, like the middle name, needs to start with a consonant.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But we know though that she chuck in Shane's sister's name as a middle name though, which is that. Which, well, I mean, like, of course you would though. if the person you're breeding with has a dead sibling, like you throw the dead sibling a bone and throw the name in there somewhere. Which is a much more callous way to phrase it than I actually feel about the topic. But then they make out. And Merlin calls her and he's like, I need you. And she's like, no. And so she doesn't go. And then Shane falls asleep. And she's like, my man needs me. So yeah, Shane falls asleep and then Merlin calls again. He's like, look, Claire, like for real, I need you.
Yeah.
I was amused. I would be more amused if it had been Cynthia Holloway doing this conversation.
I would be too. Because it was
because there was a very Merlin line in there, which was Bob would be so disappointed in you. He sees you like a mother, and he's talking about his pet spider.
Yeah, she's like, Bob the spider? It was funny. Anyway. So But yeah, so he calls her back and he's like, look, Oliver needs to see you now. And she's like, okay, where? And he's like, in the garage. He's like, okay, I'll meet you there. So she goes and she bumps into Miranda and she's like, the fuck are you doing here, kid? So Miranda's like 15, 16 now. And Miranda's like, look, I was hiding and I've got some food, it's fine. And Eve's making cookies later, I'm gonna get some. And she's a bit psychic and she's like, Claire, don't go back to the house. Claire's like, I won't, I promise. And Miranda's like, bad things will happen if you go back to the house. And she's like, well, I promise I won't. And she's like, okay. And then Miranda goes back into her closet to hide. So then Claire goes to the parking garage and she sees Merlin and I think Hannah as well, and no Oliver, and she's like, what's going on? And it's like, yeah, come this way. And Claire's like, this is weird. And then Merlin like attacks her and he's like, chill, bitch, and he knocks her out. And then we're
with Oliver.
Yep.
And Oliver takes Emily to the glass house. Effectively, we get a lot of internal shit. He's just like, I can't believe that I came here to conquer, and now I don't know what I would do if she dies. And it's character growth, but like it's dramatic and it's creepy because he looks 50 and Emily looks like 18, and it's weird. But yeah, he takes her back to the glass house, and he's like, he's like, you must hold, and she's like, I can't hold, and he's like, you must, and she's like, but I can't. He's like, must, and she's like, stay with me, and he's like, of course I will, and it's gross. I don't think she's massively older than Oliver. I don't know when Emily was like, but I find that more creepy than like Klaus and Caroline. Like Klaus is 1,000 years old. He's 1,000 years old, but it's fine because he doesn't look like her grandfather.
I mean, that's true. Like, I feel like when it comes to vampires or like werewolves and stuff, aesthetically, I feel like the aesthetics are more important than the reality. Yeah.
So, in a lot of ways. And that's why it's not creepy when a vampire dates a high schooler, because he looks like he's a high schooler. And there'll come a point where she's going to look creepily too old for him. Unless he doesn't bitey bite, and then it's fine.
Yeah, basically.
And now it's, because he had also said to Naomi before he left, that's right. Before he left, he was like, Naomi, you lead the charge. And she's like, I shall. And he's like, have fun. And she's like, I shall be queen. And he's like, no, you won't. You fucking moron, but go lead the charge. So now we're with Naomi, and she's like, I am leading the charge. Friends of thine, servants.
Oh, before we get there, Oliver does talk to Shane's dad.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Briefly, like, yeah, forget about that. He's fine next book.
Anyway,
Frank's fine next book.
Sorry, the chapter with Naomi opens with like, finally, I was taking my rightful place. The vampires ordered my unquestioned command. It rankled me that Oliver had been the one to grant it me, but I would see to him soon enough. I was royalty. He was nothing but a jumped-up king killer and fanatic who'd once stolen a throne. And there would be reckoning. It had been foolish of him to give me his vassals to command. Anyway, sorry. Just the opening. The opening was funny.
Yeah, I know, right? It's very dramatic.
I would use them to do more than finish the Draug. Sorry. I do it for my sister's sake. Emily was queen. True. But when a queen can no longer rule, her heir must act swiftly to ensure that no chaos erupts. I was the heir, not Oliver. Anyway. And then it's like, the only vehicle large enough to carry us all was a yellow painted bus. It's saying the human children.
So yeah, so like her and a bunch of vampy vamps are like going to do a thing, and Pennyfeather. Now, I can't remember if Pennyfeather's name has changed yet, right? Because Pennyfeather is Pennyfeather in this book, and I can't remember if Pennyfeather was Pennyfeather previously, but I swear, if Pennyfeather hasn't previously been Pennywise, Pennyfeather will in future be Pennywise.
Okay.
I might be in future. I think maybe next book, Pennyfeather will become Pennywise.
Okay. I don't remember either.
I actually think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know which name is I think Pennyfeather was initial.
Okay.
I think Pennyfeather still has original name, and I think next book she forgets and calls Pennyfeather Pennywise.
Like she read it between the two, and
I guess. But yeah, so it's time to go, and Pennyfeather's like, a couple of them are just like, yeah, like I mean, I acknowledge you are higher ranking than me, and that's all they'll acknowledge. And she's offended. She's like, no, I'm a queen. And they're like, lol, and walk away. And then Pennyfeather's like, they're just peasants, ignore them. And she's like, I like you.
It's so funny in like this section because, you know, I imagine like reading it, my brain does what I did for the first part, and then it switches to like the second part, you know, like because for the next paragraph it's like that, and then again it's like the clouds are rolling away, like blah 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 blah. My sister had chosen the defensive ground well, like triumphant victory, and I would lead it. I was already planning for what would occur after this battle, like. And then like I was already planning for what would occur after this battle. First, I would ensure that Amelie did not rise a drug. Like, it's like, fuck, dude.
You're so dramatic, Naomi.
I know, but then suddenly she's not. Like,
yeah.
So
but yeah, so they go. They pour the powder. The drug turns to jelly, but some don't. Right? Some don't. But she's like, those who emerged were killed with silver. But I imagine that would be read in a dramatic voice, though. They saved about 20 vampires, and they're just like, we have won. And like Rickon, one of the guys earlier that was just like, lol. Is like, excuse you, like, we don't know if Magnus is here. Like, I mean, like, we may have won the battle, but you're acting like we've won the war, motherfucker. And she's like, surely we've killed him. And he's like, we need proof. And she's like, my queen. And I want my title, Lord Reckon. And he's just like, lol, okay. And just, walked away.
This section was at least amusing. Like, it's so weird. I'm sorry.
And there's like a half-dead drug like chilling out next to her, right? And she's like, where is Magnus? And he's like, not here. And she's like, no. And then like Pennyfeather is like standing behind her and she's like, send out the search parties. And he's just like, lol, and stabs her.
Yeah, like she just gets stabbed in the heart and she's like, no. I whispered, no, I am your queen. You'll never rule here, he said. You should have remembered that. Why? I asked it. Waste not, want not. Like, it's just fucking
so so she gets stabbed in the back, right, by Pennyfeather, and then all the vampires are like, well, that's our job done, and they all leave. And then it, like the half-dead drag, crawls over and like pulls the knife out, and when she's like, why? He's like, waste not, want not. But like Magnus was speaking through it.
Yeah.
Because like I guess Magnus was like, that's wasted perfectly good vampire blood. Perfectly good. Like, let's get that knife out.
Yeah.
Like the chapter ends with Naomi being like, I wretched up Silver and stumbled to hands and knees, then upright. The war was still on. Magnus first. But after that, those who'd betrayed me, Amelie, my sister, and Oliver, whose creature Pennyfeather was. Mine. End chapter.
And it's like, all right, moving on to Eve. Like just weird intermission. Strange intermission.
Yeah, let's save Naomi. So like now let's go to Eve.
Like, okay.
Oh, because Eve and Michael, because Naomi wanted Michael to go, and Eve's like, well, we're like a package, and she's like, I don't want peasants, I want Michael, and Oliver's like, you don't need either of them, it's fine, and she was cranky. So Eve and Michael are just chilling out back at HQ, making up. Oh, because they've made up by now. They made up. We forgot to say that. They made up. Like, they're good now.
Look, our core four is meant to be. Like, you can just assume that no matter how the squabbles.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, core four, kissy kiss, love. Love, always love, moving on. Like,
Yeah. So now her and Michael are reminiscing about like, hey, lol, remember all those friends of ours who like left town? Like, they're dead, right? And he's like, lol, yeah, how cool is that? And she's like, pretty cool. Like, that's kind of, it's weird. Like, that's like, that's not how the conversation goes, but it's more or less how it goes.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you're so beautiful too. And then like, we're fine, right? And like, yeah, we're fine. And then Jane walks in and he's like, where my Claire at? And
a lot of like the Claire and Jane stuff is just them walking into a room and going, where is she?
Okay, like I will say,
where's Martha?
we might have been kidding. Like, we might have been like, not kidding, but like serious before when we said that Claire's on a never-ending quest to save her boyfriend. Shane is also on a never-ending quest to save his girlfriend. They're on a never-ending quest of him almost getting killed, her either getting kidnapped or almost getting killed, and they save each other. Like, at least they're equal.
Really, they just need Apple Watches and like one of those apps that like is like, find my friend, so that they can
I honestly feel like if this series had been written now, half of these books would lose half their length. Because it's like, where's Claire? She's been kidnapped again. But I guess we need to go find her now. And then they spend half the book looking for Claire. Well, actually, Claire spends half the book kidnapped while everyone else is off pages looking for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like they would have a lot of the problems wouldn't exist if the books had been written today.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's like, where is she? And they're like, no. And then so like they're looking, and then Miranda rocks up and she's like, I told her not to go back to the house, but she did. I don't know why she did. I told her not to go. And they're like, Claire's at the house. And like, yeah. They're like, why? And she's like, I don't know, because I told her not to go. And they're like, well, I guess we should go. And she's like, I have to come with you. And they're like, look, you're never wrong, I guess. And she's like, first we need to make a stop. So then she runs, and they're all running after her. And like, this scene is just amusing, right? Because like, they're like, we got to go save Claire. And she's like, wait, first, detour. And they're like, I guess we trust you. And so like, they're all just running. And then she rocks up, and then she's like, look, I found a Jason. Now we can go. And so then they're like, why does Jason have? She's like, Jason has to come.
Yeah, right. Because you're like, why should we bring Jason to anything? You're like, when has Jason ever been helpful?
Literally not a once.
Yeah, but you're like, okie doke, like whatever.
Yeah, I guess we're taking Jason. So we take Jason. And now Claire wakes up, and she's tied up in the glass house. And she's like, why am I tied up? And Hannah and Mernon are there, and she's like, what is going on? And they're like, look. It's not what it looks like. She's like, it looks like you kidnapped me and tied me up. And they're like, well, we did. Because we need you as Magnus, babe. And she's like, look, well, can we untie me at least, please? And I don't know why they. Oh, it's for her protection. I'm like, someone's coming to kill me. The last thing I want to do is be tied up.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll be bait, but like, untie me, bitch.
And Merton's like, we need you out of the way. And yeah, so I think, yeah, so Claire's trying to get free, and she's yelling and screaming at them, and then like she pops a nail on the chair, like because she had been twisting and fighting the chair. A nail comes loose, and she's like, excellent. So she's like fraying, the thing, and then Merlin's like, oh, she's fraying a rope. So then they fix it. How does she get free? I can't remember how Claire gets free. I think at some point she gets free though. But Magnus rocks up. And
she does get free.
I think Hannah might have passed her a knife. Oh, Hannah cuts her free. It's fine. She's like, look, she deserves a chance to like be on her feet at least. And so Magnus rocks up. They're trying to do a killy kill, and they can't. And Merlin's like, God help us, Claire, fucking run. And she runs. And now we go to Oliver. And Emily's like, he's here. And yeah, well, look, let's just not go through. Effectively, what happens is I think Claire like runs up there, like and Magnus is there, and Emily's there, and Oliver's there, and they're like, look at us all here, chilling out together. And Oliver's like, you need to leave, and he's like, no, like I've turned her, we're good. She's gonna leave. I'm gonna eat you all, and it's gonna be fine. And Oliver's like, lol, no, because the thing is, and he's like, look, she's a master drug. Like, what can you do? And he's like, look, all the stories say that we can't kill you, but no one ever said anything about another master drug not being able to kill you. And then Emily kills him. And then she reaches inside herself and kills her own drug. So now she's Emily, because I think she was turned enough to be one, but she was still mentally herself enough to kill it.
Yeah.
Like it was a weird thing, but like effectively Emily kills Magnus because he's a master drug and she can kill him, but then she kills her own drug and now she's Emily again. Like she's not great. She's not in the best of conditions. But like, you know. Oh wait, no. The other things happened before then. That's right. Like while Claire is running up there, Shane and Eve and Michael and Jason and Miranda rock up, and Miranda Magnus like absorbs Miranda and like just strips it and like eats her. Like he just down to the bone and kills Miranda. That's right. And then they run upstairs and then that thing happens. And then Jason's like, I want to be a vamp. I demand my vamp card. And Emily's like, you know what, fucking fine. So she eats him and then throws him all over and she's like, turn him, look after him, your problem, not mine. I don't know why. Like who thought, like, why would, like, Emily must still be like not in her right mind, because Saint Emily would never turn Jason Rosser into a vampire.
Yep.
But and Miranda is now, like, Miranda pops back up. She's a ghost now. She's a ghost.
Yeah.
But she's a special ghost, right? So like Michael's thing was like, you know, sun sets, he gets his body, and then morning comes and he dies in the, like, he physically suffers the same death again, and then he's a ghost and he can do his ghosty stuff. When Claire was a ghost, she couldn't really take any sort of physical form. She could have like a kind of physical form when she was up in the special room, but that was it. But no one else could sense her, whereas Michael could be sensed as a ghost. Miranda, she can pop in and out of either or. She can be corporeal or ghosty at any point. And I think she sparkled. Did she sparkle? Did she make sparkles?
I think so.
Yeah. And they're like, that's weird. Yeah, they're like, that's weird. Like, neither of us made sparkles, all popped in and out. But like, yeah, so the glass house has a ghost again.
Yep.
And Claire's like, hey, Eve, about Jason. I'll have something happen. And Eve's like, he's a vamp. And Claire's like, oh, yeah. And she's like, well, that's not good. But they're gone. They're on a hunting hunt, and it's a thing. And then we go to the epilogue. And this goes back to the beginning of last book, where Eve and Mike were like, we want to get married. And Emily was like, no. And Father Joe was like, look, come back in a week and I'll marry you. Well, it's been a week. So they've come back. And they're about to get married. And Oliver and Emily walk in. And Eve's like, no, not now. And Emily and Oliver are like really like close and different demeanor and whatnot. And Emily's like, enjoy today while you can, because tomorrow's going to be a very, very different day. Have fun. And then they leave, and Eve and Michael get married, and that's the end.
Yep.
Because the vampires literally have nothing left to fear. They had the virus, created by Bishop. Bishop is being killed now. Virus is cured. And they were in Morganville in the first place, not just to find a cure for the virus, but also to escape Magnus. And he is now dead. So there's nothing, you know. They have nothing left to fear. So it's a brand new day in Morganville.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess... Sorry, I just remember something that happened. There's gonna be plenty of cringeworthy moments for you, especially in the last book.
Great.
Yeah. All I'm gonna say to you right now is, you know the song "Here Comes the Sun"?
Yes.
That's what I'm laughing at.
Okay.
You'll get it when you get it. But yeah, that's the book. We did it.
Yep. So we'll finish the series soon. We don't have much longer to go.
No, we got 3 more books, don't we?
Yeah.
3, yes. And then we're doing, what day are we doing? Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, on Saturday we'll be doing Assassin Study with Addie, which is the first novella of the Chronicles of Ixia.
Yeah.
Which will be a very, very short little baby stream, I imagine, because it's 5 chapters.
So that's what we're doing. And then, So we will see you guys then.